Hello, viewers. Welcome to the OXYMORON show, a show that talks about the seemingly positivities and misconstrued negativities. All our discuss here on the show is strictly relationship based. My name is Calista Nwajide, and I'm your host. And here with me is Mr. Kayode Samuel. We'll call him Mr. K. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Carly.
So,
It's always a pleasure being here.
thank you. Our topic for today is humble listening. And I will start by asking you, Mr. K, what is humble listening and how does it affect our interpersonal relationship? Can you elaborate, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Calista. I think in one of the previous episodes that we've had, the speaking silence, we spoke about the fact that silence is also a very major tool in communication. And it is also proper and appropriate to also say that listening is also a very major tool in communication. But in this part of the world, what we do most of the time is that we hear, we don't listen. And hearing is just the act of receiving sound or perceiving sound in your ears, and that's it. But listening is the ability to be able to receive the information and process the information, and then at some point your pulse is even activated because you want to even understand the pulse of the individual, So what we're trying to talk about here is that there are four types of listening. Listening has the comprehensive type of listening, it has the appreciative type of listening, it has the critical type of listening, and then it has the empathic type of listening. But fortunately, the one we deploy in this part of the world is the critical type of listening. And that is the fact that this is the type of listening that you're already creating a form, or hearing rather, that you're already creating a form of defense. A type of listening that when someone comes to you, you already have your viewpoints arranged, you already have your justifications arranged, you're already knowing what to say without having heard this person.
Ready to attack.
Just ready to attack. And we discovered that this has affected relationship in several ways and is making relationship more difficult to handle. If only we can just put in a bit of empathy. Now, narrowing down to humble listening. Humble listening is just the type of listening that you do with empathy, with humility. The ability for you to be able to bring down your viewpoints, your defensiveness, your justifications, and put them on the floor, lay them bare, and then try to feel the pulse of the person who has come to you with one matter or the other. In other words, humble listening is the ability for you to be able to create a very comfortable environment for people to be able to connect with you. When you come to me and you want to talk to me about something, the ability for me to make you relaxed, to make you feel, okay, I really want to hear you. And I'm not having any form of defense, any preconceived mindset, any preconceived notion about what you want to say. I'm not even creating in my head what you are trying to tell me. I'm not creating your intent in my head. That's the ability to put all of those things aside and listen with an open-mindedness. But it's very unfortunate that we don't go through the process of listening. And there are five basic processes in listening. We have the receiving, we have the understanding, we have the remembering, we have the evaluating, and then we have the response. So you can imagine the sequence of listening. Listening takes you receiving the information from the person first, then you understand, then you go through remembering, then you now go through evaluating, which will birth your response. But what we do is that we receive the information and we react. We don't even respond, because response comes from responsibility. So it takes you to be responsible to know how to respond. But we discovered that relationships nowadays, people are getting it more difficult to even share and communicate. I was talking to someone yesterday and I told the person, see, communicate. No matter how hard it is, communicate. I want to listen. I want to hear you. The ability for me to be able to read your pulse is humble listening. When you come to me with a certain matter, maybe it can even be a flaw. It can be an ill. It can be something you're not comfortable with about me. The ability for me to create that environment for you to be relaxed and tell me what your problems with me are is humble listening. Listening with empathy. You know, one thing I say is that every single relationship, every single broken relationship today, if you go and check it, you'll discover that 70% of what affected the relationship is communication. And it wasn't because one person or the other didn't speak in the process, but the way, the receptivity of the other persons, in this thing must have caused the deterioration of their relationship. So once you are listening to your partner or you're listening to someone, create the comfortable environment for them to be able to relate to you, to connect with you. And most of the time, we don't have this anymore. It is just the critical mindedness that we have. People are critical in their mind. They create the intent. They create the thought. Sometimes you even tell people something and you're wondering when they begin to, in turn, tell you what you told them, you begin to wonder, but that's not what I said. I came with something totally different. So you can imagine if things were to be done the other way around and we have more time to listen, you will discover that the conflict resolutions that we have right now will even be more. There will be more success in conflict resolutions. But because we do not listen with humility, there is more problems raised from trying to settle issues. You discover that people will gather, want to settle a problem. At the end of the day, they will create more problems. From that.
Because no one was actually listening.
Nobody was listening. Everybody was just hearing, and everybody was hearing with a mindset.
A critical mindset.
With a critical mindset that, oh, I know why I'm saying this. Is because I did this. It's because I didn't wear a good shoe. It's because that is even assumption. And like I was told, I heard from someone, it says assumption is the lowest level of reasoning. Hearing makes you assume. But listening doesn't even bring room for assumption because you are practically listening to this person. You are trying to understand. You are trying to remember. Then comes evaluation before response. So the sequence is very, very clear. If we can deploy these things in our relationship, honestly speaking, we'll have little or no problems. When you come to me and you tell me, hey, Kay, you did this to me, and I'm creating the platform for you to understand that, see, come, Kali, I really want to listen to you. Tell me what the problem is. Even in the advent, that you now realize that what the person was thinking is not actually the case. But because you have listened with humility, you would help to explain better that these were just misconstructions. These are just misunderstandings. You didn't actually get me right. Yeah. This was what I intended. But because you have listened, but you will discover that even sometimes, even when you know that the person didn't understand you, you will want to create a defense then. What do you mean? Why are you telling me that? Did you check the fact of the case? And by the time you do all of that, you discover that the thing that was initially small, will expand and becomes a societal or a major issue that can no longer be handled. But only if I deployed the activity of humble listening. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is this: when listening to someone, deploy the receiving, the understanding, the remembering, the evaluating, and
the
response. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, Calista.
Wow. Thank you for breaking down this topic for us. Thank you. So you've heard him. We have 4 types of listening: the comprehensive listening, the appreciative listening, the critical listening. Yeah. That's the table you and I occupy. In fact, I occupy the biggest space on that table. And lastly, the empathic listening, which is also humble listening. Yeah. So we should try and apply that in our day-to-day activities by listening without judging and without being defensive. So that's it for today. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Choice Listens TV. Thank you.